Some criminals fear the law. These 5 acted like the law didn't apply to them. They weren't just gangsters making money in the shadows. They built power so large, so violent, and so protected that, for a while, they moved like kings. Cities feared them. Systems struggled to contain them. And the rules that stopped ordinary people seemed to stop at their door. Here are 5 real crime kings who lived above the law. Their power was real. Their reach was terrifying. And for a time, they looked almost untouchable. 5. Al Capone. Before the modern cartel era, there was Al Capone. In Prohibition-era Chicago, Capone became one of the most infamous faces of organized crime. His empire profited from bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution, and by 1927, his wealth was estimated at about $100 million, an extraordinary amount for the time. But what made Capone so dangerous wasn't just the money. It was the image. He dressed sharply, lived lavishly, and projected the kind of confidence that made him seem untouched by the rules that governed everyone else. For years, he looked less like a criminal in hiding and more like a man with his own unofficial authority. Then the government found a different way to attack him. On June 5, 1931, Capone was indicted for 22 counts of federal income tax evasion. Later that year, he was convicted. A man feared across Chicago wasn't finally stopped by a rival gang in the street. He was stopped by the paper trail. That's what made Capone terrifying. For a while, he lived like the city belonged to him. 4. Griselda Blanco. If organized crime usually looked male, Griselda Blanco shattered that image. Blanco was a Colombian cocaine trafficker who amassed a vast empire and was a central figure in the violent Miami drug wars of the 1970s and 80s. And that's exactly why she belongs on this list. She didn't just operate inside a criminal system. She became one of the people shaping it. In a world already soaked in violence, her name stood out because fear followed it. In organized crime, fear is control, and Blanco built power through both. For a time, her violence and reach made her one of the most feared traffickers linked to the Miami drug wars. She wasn't just making money in a brutal system. She became one of the people helping define it. 3. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Then there's El Chapo, one of the clearest modern examples of criminal power becoming almost mythic. As the head of the Sinaloa cartel, Joaquin Guzman rose into the top tier of global organized crime. But what made him feel unreal to the public wasn't just the size of the cartel. It was the way he kept escaping the reach of the state. After being captured in 2014, Guzman escaped again on July 11, 2015, fleeing the maximum security Altiplano prison through a shaft beneath the shower in his cell into a tunnel more than 1 mile, 1.5 kilometers, long, equipped with lighting and ventilation. That single moment changed everything. He stopped looking like just another drug lord. He started looking like a man who could slip through even the tightest walls built to contain him. Of course, it didn't last forever. He was recaptured in 2016, extradited to the United States in 2017, and in 2019 he was sentenced to life in prison. But before that fall, El Chapo became a symbol of what happens when criminal power grows so large that it starts to openly challenge the state. For years, he didn't just evade the law. He made himself look almost untouchable. 2. Carlos Lehder. Now here's the name many people know less about, but it may be the most literal example on this list. Carlos Lehder. In 1978, Lehder began using Norman's Cay, a small island in the Bahamas, as a transshipment point for cocaine flights heading into the United States. But he didn't just use the island. He bribed government officials and either bought out or frightened away the residents, effectively making it his headquarters. He also enlarged the runway, which became central to the cocaine trade moving through the island. Think about what that means. This wasn't just smuggling. This was territorial control. For a time, Lehder wasn't acting like an ordinary trafficker. He was acting like a ruler with his own base, his own infrastructure, and his own criminal air bridge. That's why he fits this title so well. Because, above the law, doesn't get much clearer than turning an island into a private operational kingdom. 1. Pablo Escobar. And at number 1, there's really only one name that fits. Pablo Escobar. By the mid-1980s, the Medellin cartel dominated the cocaine trade, and Escobar had become one of the most powerful traffickers in the world. Some reports placed his fortune at around $25 billion. But what made Escobar the perfect example of a crime king wasn't just his money. It was how openly his wealth and influence reshaped the rules around him. His famous Hacienda Napoles was a 7,000-acre estate that reportedly included a soccer field, dinosaur statues, artificial lakes, a bullfighting arena, an airstrip, and a tennis court. It wasn't just a property, it was a monument to what unchecked criminal wealth can look like. And then there was La Catedral. When Escobar surrendered in 1991, he was allowed to build a luxurious prison known as La Catedral, a facility so comfortable it barely resembled normal punishment. It reportedly included a nightclub, sauna, waterfall, soccer field, telephones, computers, and fax machines. That detail says everything. When even prison starts to look like a private retreat, the line between criminal and ruler starts to blur. Escobar wasn't just feared because he was rich. He was feared because his money, violence, and influence became so enormous that normal rules seemed to stop applying to him. And that's exactly what makes him the ultimate crime king who lived above the law. These weren't just criminals. They were proof of what happens when fear, money, and influence grow so large that they begin to look like power without limits. For a while, they moved like kings. They acted like the law was optional. And people feared them because, for too long, it almost was. But every empire built above the law ends the same way, with cracks, enemies, and eventually, collapse. If you want more real dark history stories like this, subscribe to Dark Origin Media. Because the deeper you go, the darker it gets.